Hi, this is Michael Adams for CEORoaster and Stock Telegraph. And again, I'm hosting a CEORoaster web conference. This time it's with a fairly new company. Actually, the company is not new, but they are shifting their focus towards Cobalt right now. We're talking about Explorex Resources Inc., trading on the CSE under the symbol EX and on the Frankfurt market as 1XE. The German WKN number for my German fellows is A2H5T7, so that's A2H5T7. And it's my pleasure to have Mike Sieb here. He just recently took over the role as president, and my old fellow Gary Schellenberg, he's the CEO. So Gary, let's start off. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me and give me some introduction to Explorex. For the guys that don't know you from some of our recent videos, just give us a little bit of background about yourself first.
Well, thanks, Michael, for having us. I've been in the exploration business now for probably going on 35 years. We've had a number of successes in within our group, our Coast Mountain group of companies. Essentially, as a project generator company. We've prided ourselves on being a bit ahead of the curve on all the major commodities. Since the early 90s, we got involved in diamonds when everybody thought it was crazy. We got involved and we had a success there. We got involved in oil and gas again later on in the 90s when it was at $10, and we followed into the gold trend through the 2000s and entered into Argentina. And then in 2008, we identified the need for lithium, and we built a very strong team for lithium explorers and had a number of successes there. Again, a bit ahead of the curve, and we'd like to redo that here again on Cobalt. What makes this a little different is that we have a significant backer to help us in our search. So we have a very technical-oriented team. We are very familiar with the equity markets, and we're really happy to be starting this new venture here with our existing team, and being here today to tell you about it.
Okay, and talking about the existing team, just recently, as I said, you brought Mike Sieb on as the president. Why did you do that? That's a question from Gary.
Well, Mike, why did we bring you back? No, Mike is a very talented individual. We were able to bring him on. He was a president of a nickel company based out of Australia, a Canadian listed company. We brought him on to run our lithium company back in 2011. He was instrumental in actually being able to secure an end product user and significant investor in that company. We've done a lot of work together since the lithium time, and Mike is an instrumental person within our group who has the same foresight as what the rest of the team does, and a real initiative and a true entrepreneur.
Mike, would you agree to Gary's statements?
I would have to say yes to that.
Okay.
I can't profess to the same longevity that Gary has had in the industry, but my years are completely full, and Gary and I work really well together. We complement each other, both on the technical side as well as the marketing. So we've had multiple successes in the past, and we hope to have another one here.
Okay, great. So then please tell me, Mike, what attracted you to Explorex?
The opportunity. That's what always attracts talented people. It's the opportunity. Explorex is a burgeoning company. It's just at the inception point of its life cycle. And Gary identified it, and we had a really good conversation in regards to Explorex. And we saw the vision of where this company can go. I can talk at length about the cobalt market and the opportunity that it provides, and in conjunction with the team, as well as our ability to raise money and discover and acquire very valid assets. I think Explorex is a vehicle of the future.
Okay, great. Okay, let's dig into the presentation. Whoever wants to start.
Okay, well, Thanks very much. Explorex, like as we mentioned earlier, we've just taken it over with Mike and the new team. We've decided to focus in on not just cobalt, all energy-related e-battery, electric vehicle related commodities. Cobalt is still our main focus. We started off by acquiring two cobalt projects within the Cobalt and Bayment area of Northern Ontario. It was a logical place to start. They're fairly early stage projects, of which we think that they'll it definitely got us a branding and a start. And back in October, we entered into a letter of intent here with a company called Ganfeng Lithium Corp. We've had a long relationship with Ganfeng in the lithium sector. They did want to expand their product line to include cobalt, and with their history of wanting to be vertically integrated, they chose us to be their partner in Explorex, and promised us and committed to us first $1 million of investment to essentially look worldwide for good quality cobalt assets, as well as additional lithium and other related commodities.
Okay.
So
Gary,
that's that's essentially.
Gary,
Yeah.
let me ask you a question. Did I get that right? That so far, until let's say now, Ganfeng is not active in the cobalt sector, and Ganfeng chose you to be kind of the first project in the cobalt sector?
That's correct. Yeah. So they have obviously Ganfeng is expanding their business. Again, beyond just being a lithium refiner, they're looking at more of a global presence here within the energy sector, and have been expanding their products.
But that's I'm almost speechless, because Ganfeng, as far as I understand, they're like a 9 billion market cap company, and for a new, let's say a total new industry, even if it's related to battery metals or energy metals, they are choosing you with a market cap of, I don't even know, like a really tiny market cap. They are choosing you, and this is all based on your existing relationships and the projects that you have, or?
Yeah, it's basically the team of people that we've put together and the relationship that we have with the company. It was a big vote of confidence in our long-standing relationship that they did choose us. We do have a proven track record of delivering. Again, we've delivered lithium, we've been able to deliver diamonds, we've been able to deliver oil and gas, and we're confident, and so are Ganfeng will be able to deliver some cobalt as well, good quality cobalt projects for development. So yes, it's basically you bet on the team, and the assets will follow.
Okay. Still, I really think that's outstanding. Yeah, for like the fourth biggest or third biggest lithium producer in the world. Yeah, if they go into a new sector, that they're choosing a small Canadian company. So that's only speaks for the team. It's not to criticize you. It's just something that I wasn't able to imagine. Right. So congratulations.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Yes, it's given us the tools. The relationship with them is going to give us the tools here to acquire new and more advanced projects in the near future, and also to advance current projects that we do have.
Okay, great.
Okay, we'll move on to the next slide here.
Okay.
And as we mentioned, some of our key management, Bill Wishart was the gentleman who founded Explorex, and I joined Bill about 5 years ago, and the company was basically a shell and looking for an opportunity. And it wasn't until the summer that we found the opportunity here and partnered up with Ganfeng. And at that point in time, I became CEO, and I brought in Mike Sieb to run the company as president. Jim Mustard is a former investment banker over at Pacific Financial, and we were able to bring him on as Vice President of Corporate Development, and he's been instrumental on helping source and look at new projects worldwide, and also with his investment banking background, it certainly opens up a lot of doors here, down the way for our financing, and then being a professional engineer as well is certainly an asset to the company. And Jerry Bella, as you may know, Michael has been with our group for many years. He gives us the structure and the financial backing, or accounting background, and keeps the agreements moving forward, and a very valuable asset to our team. And we've got a new member, Zenny Manilow, as a CFO, very capable accountant, and she's been CFO for a number of junior mining companies over her 25-year experience. So that's pretty much our core management. But in addition to our management, we do have the Coast Mountain Group team, geological team behind it. We have a number of key people, John Harrop, Pat McLaughlin, and such, as well as Rick Kemp. Very key team of individuals who will enable us to be successful here in Explorex. Okay, the share structure has recently changed. We just completed a placement to position Ganfeng and some other key players. We currently have almost 16 million shares outstanding, and on a fully diluted basis, we have 21 million. It's interesting to note here because we do have directors, management, and strategic investors here now owning 25% of the company, and additional private fund managers and key investors having an additional 13. So again, we have a pretty good corporate structure here with about 38% held very tightly within very few people, and again with only 15 million shares outstanding. I think that's a good corporate structure to start off with.
Yeah, and just full disclosure, I participated in the last private placement, so I have a conflict of interest, of course.
So now on to our projects within Cobalt. Well, first of all, why Cobalt? And as we touched on before, what we believe is Cobalt is going to be is the next big bottleneck in the electrification of automobiles. First off, we started off with lithium. Everybody was searching for lithium because the lithium carbonate market was going through the roof. Originally, we started looking at lithium in 2008 and 9. The lithium carbonate was selling for maybe about $4,500 to $5,000 a ton. Today, recently it's hit as much as $20,000 per ton. Again, because of intermittent shortfalls, we don't think that's sustainable. The lithium carbonate equivalent will come down probably, we believe, around the $12,000 a ton. But we're seeing that same type of bottleneck in demand. The battery of choice is going to be is the lithium nickel cobalt batteries. These are and again, cobalt has been one commodity that's been very, very short supply. We see cobalt rising as the in price now to a lofty $26, $27 a pound, up from the low 20s, and that's all been very, very recently. And as we electrify our automobile industry, this will be the next big bottleneck of raw materials. And that is why I think searching for cobalt now, and the smart players and the smart battery manufacturers are looking to vertically integrate and recognize that cobalt will be the next bottleneck in electrifying the automobile market.
Complement with what Gary was stressing is the isolated source of the vast majority of cobalt that is supplying the renewable battery sector, and that is from the DRC. As of last year, I think 6 out of the 10 largest producers of cobalt was from the DRC. And that doesn't take into account the artisanal miners. And I'm going to use artisanal term very politely because there are significant human rights issues in association with some of those artisanal miners. So the vast majority of the companies out there that utilize cobalt in the renewable battery space, it acknowledges that the DRC is a problematic source for cobalt, and they are very carefully looking for other sources. And so you know, for example, Apple and Tesla is looking for a North American source, so they don't have to be dependent and associated with cobalt coming from the DRC. This is also in conjunction with a very robust forecast for cobalt. The battery sector is growing. There's strong consensus, and there's no argument in regards to that. Yes, the demand for lithium and cobalt is increasing. This is again we're at the forefront of that. Over the last year or year and a half, you've seen some significant competition in lithium companies trying to source out lithium and vying for your investment dollar. Well, right now we're at the start of the cobalt, and the cobalt supply is going to be an issue. And anybody who is an observant of history can guarantee that when you have such a vast majority of the cobalt being sourced from a country that is known for its instability and its issues, you can almost guarantee that at some point in time there is going to be a major disruption in the source of cobalt. And we're seeing some of that today as well. So once you team a potential disruption or a material disruption of cobalt supply in conjunction with a robust demand forecast, I mean, for the investor, this is a perfect storm. And that's why I think ourselves, we are very strong proponents of Cobalt and Explorex. And I think we're working for our investors to do really good things here. And to help us with that, Gary spoke at length about Ganfeng Lithium. What I want to stress here, in addition, is that we've been fostering a very good relationship with Ganfeng over the last 8 years. 8 years ago, they might have been in the top 10 lithium manufacturers in the world. As of today, they are the second largest lithium product manufacturer. They have invested or committed to approximately $200 million in mining ventures over the last 2 years. Explorex is the company that they're currently supporting for Cobalt. So what Ganfeng has done over the last 2 years, their foray into directly kind of upstream into lithium producers as well as explorers, Ganfeng has now turned their head towards Cobalt. And we're really capitalizing on a relationship with Ganfeng, as well as we do have the goods. We have the technical team, and we do have the success or the history of success behind us that we're working towards being a prominent Cobalt explorer with Ganfeng as a backer.
Okay, let me ask you a question, Mike.
Sure.
Like the deal with Ganfeng, yeah, is that they will buy the cobalt when it's produced, or at least they have the right to buy the cobalt, right? Is that at a discount to market at that point in time, or is it a fixed price, or are they paying market, or will the pricing be?
Currently, it's under negotiation.
Okay.
It will be either at market price or a slight discount to market price, which is going to be highly beneficial to Explorex as a producer when it becomes a producer someday. Because one of the major issues is when you're looking at a contract price for a commodity, it's the strength of your marketing of that product into the global market is really sort of like a keystone requirement. And to have Ganfeng as an offtake partner that will guarantee that stream of selling into the marketplace, that is quite a beneficial attribute for a company to have.
No,
I may add too there, Mike,
sure.
that by them being a significant shareholder, also they'll be benefiting, through their investment directly into Explorex as well, in addition to having the opportunity of security of product. So I think it's in their best interest that that Explorex is a profitable company in the future, as well as for them to have a secure supply of cobalt, leading into the years to come.
Yeah. Let me ask you another question. How is the price for cobalt determined? Is there like a market, or is it more like uranium where it's on a contract base, or?
Primarily due to the, when you look at various commodities and the volume of the commodity that is sold on a global scale, cobalt is fairly on the low side. And any commodity that is on the low side is predominantly on a contract basis, and that's what we're looking at here. One of our technical strengths is sourcing out global opportunities, and that's hunting for those properties that have been either overlooked or areas that have yet to really be focused on. Cobalt, Ontario happens to be one of those areas that has a very long history of cobalt production. However, cobalt is primarily a byproduct in relationship to the silver that was mined in cobalt. So primarily the companies who were exploiting and producing cobalt from the development of the mines in Ontario, it was a byproduct. And so, of course, that's a very good area to focus on as sort of like an initial investment in a property, because it has a long history, and realistically, a lot of the operations occurred before 1930. So these are 70, 80-year-old operations that haven't been looked at for that lengthy period of time. When the Depression came and the silver market plummeted, a lot of people basically raised their hands and left their development, even if they were just getting into the ore zone. So our technical team took a real close look, and not just our technical team, Jim Mustard, as Gary stated, who has a very strong network of contacts, as well as a very long history of looking at various commodities around the world. We all took a close look at Cobalt, Ontario, and we came up with a couple of very interesting projects. One project is, and actually both of them are in the Elk Lake area, and this is one of those classic boom town. Once silver was discovered in the early like 1900, all of a sudden there was a mad rush to the area, and lo and behold, they found all these silver veins all over the place, and you had quite a handful of development occurring from just the individual miner with kind of a pick and an axe to rather some advanced operations. And we were quite fortunate enough to identify a package that was just recently put back together of two different mines. It was the Paragon Hitchcock mine, as well as the Cobalt Frontenac mine. And they are quite different, even though they're in close proximity to each other. One was predominantly gold, and the other one was predominantly silver and cobalt. So I'm going to talk about the silver and cobalt one, which is the Paragon Hitchcock. And it was one of the sort of premier developments for the day. It had a full-on shaft and mill and barracks for the mining of silver. And in conjunction with that silver, there was fairly high-grade cobalt. For that time, everybody was just focused on the silver. The vast majority of the mills that were processing the ore didn't even recover the cobalt. So this is quite a fortunate situation for the current cobalt explorers today. And the Paragon Hitchcock was developed over about a 10-year period till about I guess the high point of the operations was in about 1927, 1928, when they had a shaft that exceeded a depth of 100 meters and had 3 different levels and crosscuts and about 500 meters of working, and they were following a very, very rich silver and cobalt vein. And what they were finding is that as they were going deeper, the structure that hosted this mineralization was actually getting thicker. And they were just getting into it when the price collapsed in conjunction with the depression, and everybody basically left. And so there is no buildings there anymore after 70 years. However, the mineralization is still there that is completely untapped. And so we have an opportunity here to really identify a high-grade mineralizing structure that has significant development on it, but has never, ever really been exploited. And this is a very good characteristic property that we're looking for, the attributes. Something that is kind of ripe for exploration results as well as potential future development, but has been dramatically overlooked. One of the other properties that we have is the Chrysler Project, which is in the same general camp, but a little to the west. And it's part of Canada's sort of like more than focused just on the Cobalt area. It's really the Cobalt belt of Ontario. And this is another area which is actually quite interesting because there is a really strong association with cobalt mineralization and the Nipissing diabase. And I'm not going to go into what the geology is. I'm just going to highlight that there is a strong association. So normally when you have a certain characteristic and structural situation with the diabase, you are going to have internal to that, some really significant cobalt occurrences and deposits. And what we've identified at the Chrysler Project is an area that has been also completely overlooked because the historic mapping of the area did not have the diabase dike in this location. But from recent mapping, we've identified that the diabase dikes that are associated with the cobalt mineralization actually extend further to the south. So this is more of a grassroots opportunity for the company, but it's a very sort of like cheap entry point into something that could produce some significant results.
Let me ask you another question. This cobalt belt, yeah, is that stopping at the border to Quebec, or is it extending into Quebec too? Like the Atibiti, how is it called? The Atibiti, this gold belt, yeah, which is covering like 2 provinces. So is this cobalt belt running into Quebec?
It would be something that is a little separate to it. When you go across the border into Quebec, you're going to have a different mineralizing association. It'll be a very strong sort of like nickel cobalt, but it is related, yes.
Okay, cool, thanks.
And one of the legacy properties that was in Explorex was the silver dollar property. This is in British Columbia near Revelstoke. And this is one of those areas that has had a long history of mining high-grade gold. And also recently, there was also significant occurrences of base metals. So this property would be a little separate to our cobalt and lithium focus, but it is a very valid project that is in our portfolio.
Okay.
And for example, here you can kind of see the extent of our property and the vast number of occurrences that are in association. It's a very strong lineament with numerous, and I'm saying numerous occurrences of not only kind of high grade gold, but also to the south area, really good base metal like copper and silver occurrences. So this is a very interesting project that we're currently working on, and it has that opportunity whereby it's the first time that such a large land package has been able to be put together. If, for example, within our land package, we can probably lose count of the number of past mining operations that were there. And these are all like 1900 aged mining operations where you're thinking about the individual miner that is going after like the high grade vein. Well, this is the first time that a company has been able to put together such a large land package that encompasses the entire area, whereby we can use modern mining and exploration techniques to identify something larger.
Okay, but wouldn't it be a good idea to maybe down the road, yes, spin this project out into a separate company or dividend it out to the shareholders?
Yeah, no, exactly. That's exactly what our plan would be. Our focus is on the EV metals. Like as Mike mentioned, this is a legacy project. It is worthy of a standalone company development. I think it's one that we have it. It's a valuable asset. Unfortunate, our focus is moving towards, with our partners, our Chinese partners, towards the cobalt, lithium, and other e-metals markets. And very correct, Michael. This could be an opportunity in the near future to spin this off into another entity, and not to take away from our focus in the marketplace for the cobalt.
Yet even more, you won't, if you're positioning yourself as a cobalt company in connection with Ganfeng, right, you won't get any value in the market for this project.
Yeah.
Right?
That's correct. Yeah, and we recognize that, and I think our clear focus is to now to move forward. We like this project, but like again, as you point out, it is not going to be our focus. Our focus is now to acquire, to look, and to develop our current and new, cobalt projects, along with any new projects that come along. I could tell you we're looking worldwide right now, from South America to Australia to to the Netherlands, and so we're really scanning the globe here for good quality opportunities, and that's our initial mandate, is to put a basket of projects together, and to bring and develop them and focus in on the ones that show more promise.
Right. So you kind of already indicated, and that would have been one of my next questions, would be like, so you're actively looking and or are in discussions to acquire new projects. And you said, as you said, you're not only focused on North America, but you're also looking in other locations. And did I get you right? You mentioned the Netherlands. Are there cobalt projects in the Netherlands?
Well, it's worldwide. There's projects in Finland and Sweden, and we're looking in there's in Greenland. There's indications of cobalt there. There's Northwest Territories. It's not there's many projects. There's projects in Africa that we've heard about, and we're starting to investigate. Again, my point is that we're looking literally worldwide for good quality projects, and I think our team, the experienced team that we have and the connections we have within various mining sectors, is opening up a lot of doors and opportunities for us.
Okay. No, great. Let me ask you a couple of quick questions. So for next year, because 2017 is already almost done, what are kind of the catalysts for next year? What are the milestones you would like to achieve, and what kind of news flow can the investor expect? And I understand it's fairly tough to tell, but kind of what's the direction for the company, the news flow for the first 6 months of 2018?
Well, it's going to be about it's a two-pronged approach. And the first prong is with our existing projects. We do have a solid exploration plan in place for both our cobalt projects in Ontario and that is working through the winter, utilizing geophysics to identify the prospective areas, and then in the spring or the summer to follow up with drill programs. Because, I mean, right today I can say that there's bona fide targets, but let's take the methodical approach and ensure that we get the bang for the buck and the results that our investors are looking for. The second prong would be, as Gary stated, we have an extremely focused mandate for a major acquisition. And that's something that our team is working on extremely diligently, scouring the potential opportunities around the world, entering into negotiations with various entities to come up with a major acquisition whereby we can capitalize on the financial backing that our partners provide us with. And that'll really launch the company to the next level. And so for the next number of months, that will be our primary focus, is to source out, acquire, and be able to advance a major acquisition. And I think that would benefit our shareholders the best.
Okay, and what's the cash situation right now? Because upcoming potential acquisitions might be at least partly in cash, and also you indicated the drill program. Yeah, that's coming up. You need cash to drill. So what's the situation? Do you need to go to the markets again some point in time?
I think at the present time we have enough capital to meet our immediate needs and to advance our existing projects forward. New acquisitions, obviously, we would have to then revisit the cost of the new acquisitions and funding for that. And I think that's really the key, and we're prepared to do that. Our financial partner is also prepared to do that and help us with an initial order of $500,000, towards the next placement. And so that is very, very positive, and we have the confidence that now we're not restricted by capital. We can go and find and buy good quality projects and go to the market to finance these good quality projects with a very strong lead order to kick off that financing. So I think yes, we will need new capital, but that'll be totally dependent on the assets that we're able to secure the new ones.
Yeah, the attributes and the market situation that exists really for us facilitates the raising of additional funds when we require it. So that's not something we're concerned with at this point in time, because I feel that the financing at a good structural price will be readily available to us when we need it.
Okay. No, I think that was, thank you very much, guys. That was a very interesting step for me into the Cobalt sector, right? It's the first company I'm talking to at all out of the Cobalt sector. And yeah, my feelings, just my 2 cents. Yeah, and again, I'm biased because I'm invested into the company. I feel that based on the track record of the management team, like the whole team behind the company, and the backup of Gang Fang, yeah, really, again, I have to say that a $9 billion market cap company is sleeping or getting into the same boat as with Explorex, as a really like a small company on the TSX, on the Canadian markets. That's outstanding to me. That's a big chunk of faith that those guys are putting into you, and they are not new to the market. So I trust they know what they do. And so every retail investor or outside investor, yeah, that wants to join and wants to be in the same boat as this, as you said, the second biggest lithium producer in the world, should take a serious look at Explorex. The website is, by the way, explorex.ca, not .com, .ca. And I think it's a really good opportunity. So I urge all of my viewers and readers here to really dig into it. Call into Gary or Mike or drop them emails, yeah, if you have specific questions. But for now, thank you very much. The final couple of words are used, and you have to say if it's Mike or Gary. But from my end, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Michael. It's been a pleasure talking with you again, and look forward to our next chat here, hopefully in the near future when we have much more new and exciting news to share with you.